Public choice economics understands that there are varying government inefficiencies due to the self-interested individuals and a delusional public that has led to government failure. One such inefficiency is the concentrated benefits versus dispersed cost concept, caused by governments funding specialized groups with taxpayer dollars. These specialized groups can range from powerful politicians to small minorities to subsidized businesses to independent organizations for their own agenda. For simplicity, this video will use the latter, independent organizations, as an example. These groups receive relatively minor funds from the government, in the $10,000 range. However, these donations add up. The benefits from this funding is concentrated in the minority interest group, having a little positive effect on the general population. Meanwhile, these costs are dispersed amongst all the taxpayers. The sheer quantity of such cases accumulate, adding to millions of dollars being donated by the government to a small number of beneficiaries. The burden of all this money is placed upon the taxpayers and drains money that could have been used more effectively elsewhere. Utilitarianism is the ideology that the best course of action is the one that benefits the most people. Concentrated benefits versus dispersed costs takes on a utilitarian perspective when managing government spending and criticizes minority interest groups for wasting government budgets. The inefficiency of public choice and specifically concentrated benefits is rarely addressed due to two major reasons. The first is lack of importance on public servant agendas, and the second is the aggressive lobbying of special interest groups. So firstly, politicians in a democratic system are voted in. Citizens decide their vote based on the policies and objectives of a candidate. Voters who support, for example, gay marriage would vote for a politician who also supports it. Such heavy topics can make or break an election. Politicians would rather focus on these big topics instead of smaller ones that no one really knows about. For example, funding the local heritage site. So since voters and public servants rarely address these smaller issues, they continue to drain money from the government, causing vast public sector inefficiency. Finally, special interest groups aggressively lobby for their own interests. Whether or not a cause is good is debatable and varies for each group. However, the overall attitude of any group is self-preservation. In order to continue its activities, it requires funding. So, for the purpose of self-preservation, special interest groups will aggressively lobby for more government funding, more public sympathy, and more external support. Ignoring the complexity of good versus bad, useful versus useless, public choice sees that in the end, the benefits of government funding is concentrated in a small number of beneficiaries while having cost burdens upon the entire population. From a utilitarian perspective, these very real and continuous public sector flaws create huge government inefficiencies that benefits few people and is therefore a failure.